Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to all my new followers. Often I notice that flash photography seems a little bit intimidating to some of you out there, and it really shouldn't be. Flash photography is really at its core not that hard. Like with anything, you can make it look any way you want to. You can use it for any application however you want to. Nobody can tell you that how you did it was wrong. Of course, there are certain rules that are more of sort of guidelines than anything else. But in this week's video, I just wanted to go over, adding a little twinkle in the eyes, if you will. Adding a little sparkle. Often we take a portrait and we'll put the model, the subject, your family member, your friend, in the shade and we're done, because we don't want any harsh shadows. And of course you can take really good looking photos that way, placing somebody in the shade. But if on top of that you add a little sparkle in the eyes, a little twinkle, to me that brings the portrait just a little bit more alive. It just adds a little bit more flair into it, if you will. It brings the eyes alive, and the eyes are often what we focus on. As a matter of fact, in portraiture, the eyes is what we focus on. So in this video, I want to show you that with a fairly simple, fairly relatively, affordable setup, you can add a little bit of twinkle in the eyes. Of course, we don't want to have the straight on flash. So this is an, off-camera setup, using the PC connection of your camera. Now, which is that little round connector. Now, PC doesn't mean you're going to connect your camera onto your personal computer. PC stands for Prontor Compor, which are basically two different manufacturers that manufactured leaf shutters back in the day. And because the Zeiss company had a stake in both companies sort of standardized their connection, their 3.5 millimeter 1/8 inch connector to synchronize their shutters with the flash. And because they both use that, the PC Prontor Compor connection got its name. It's a really simple connection that works off of one, connector, one relay, if you will, one switch that brings a signal to any type flash. Now, most cameras that are popular nowadays are going to have a PC connector, and that's why I used that connection. I also used a cable, which is essentially 3.5 millimeter connector that allows me to use the PC connector, and then it goes to any sort of flash nowadays. But I used it to connect it to a receiver, and you can use any receiver. I just used this little receiver, which is a little chamois receiver, and it allows me to hook up that cable and then sync any sort of flash. And then I put my Nikon SB600 flash on there, because the Nikon SB600 has a mode where you can, manual mode, where you can manually adjust the flash output. And that's how I essentially added a little bit of fill flash, if you will, ever so slightly, and really just a hint of flash. Because if you looked at my other video where I go a little bit into using flash photography, I explained that I don't want to see in my photos that flash has been used. And you'll see that because we'll go over two photos in just a sec, where I took two portraits of my girlfriend Jamie, and essentially I don't want to see that flash has been used, but I just want to add a hint of flash in the eyes, which gives it a little sparkle. So it's a fairly, and essentially a really, affordable setup. There's also this bracket that I used, which allows you to attach any sort of flash diffuser and attachments to your tripod. You don't need anything more special than that. You don't even need a stand. It just goes on your tripod. Most of us are going to have a tripod, and then you can just shoot off camera. And that's sort of the gear that's being used. It's really simple. It's affordable. I will put affiliate links for Amazon in the description. And then you can purchase those attachments, if you will, and get going yourself. It's really easy. Don't be afraid. Using flash is really a lot of fun, in addition to just, using natural light. Natural light is also a lot of fun. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else for not adding a little bit of flash in there. But, if you just add just a hint of flash, it just brings that portrait alive, in my opinion. So guys, let's hop on the computer. Well guys, here we are in Lightroom, and as you can see, this is the first portrait that I've taken of my girlfriend. And this is a natural light portrait. You could say it's pleasing. There's, it's not flat everywhere. There's a nice rim light to the right of her face, to the left of the viewer. It adds some, it's nice and dynamic. It's a good baseline to have, but as you can see, especially with her, she has these really beautiful blue eyes. They fall a little flat. Now, the trick is to add a little bit of flash while not altering this beautiful baseline that we already have. We can alter the pose a little bit. That's neither here nor there, but this gorgeous light that we already have, we don't want to alter that. We just want to add just a little hint of a flash. A little hint, a little twinkle in the eyes, which we can see here. Really just, we still have that beautiful soft light. Nothing is, there's nothing given away here that we've used flash. There's just a little twinkle in the eyes. Of course, if you're a little bit more experienced, you will definitely know that a flash has been used, but it's just an ever so slight addition. And, here I used a 32-inch umbrella, and I measured the flash to one stop under the value of the ambient light. I shot at 1/60th of a second here at f2.8, so that's why it's a little tricky to get the eyes sharp, but I think I managed to do it here. And the flash output was measured at a 60th of a second and then at 1.8. So essentially that's your balanced fill flash, which you'll see on most digital cameras, but you can do the same thing here on film. Here's another one where we can see, don't mind that stuff up top there. That's just the expired film. The film is Fuji Pro 160S, which I love. I don't have many rolls left, but you can see a little twinkle in the eyes here, again, versus the original. There's nothing really there. But you can see here, guys, in the original, it's still pleasing, it's a pleasing portrait, but if we just add just a little twinkle in the eyes, to me, that just brings it more alive. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a major setup. It doesn't have to be flash. You can add catch lights, if you will, with anything, with even a reflector, but I just like using flash. Well, guys, that's really basically my little bitty tutorial, if you will, on adding just a little bit of twinkle, a little bit of a twinkle, a little bit of a sparkle in the eyes. Doesn't have to be super major. But I hope you learned from that. Don't be afraid to use Flash. It's a lot of fun. And one other thing that I did want to mention, I used the Tamron 45 1.8, and look at that bokeh. It's just so soft. Not painterly, but creamy. Look at that. It's just gorgeous. But anyway, guys, love you. And I'll see you in the next week's episode.